That dinner wasn't the beginning. Not even close. It was just the point where I finally stopped pretending things might ever change. See, I'd been the one holding things together for years. The emergency contact. The backup plan. The guy they called when the lights were about to go out or someone's phone got shut off again. William's card would get declined and somehow it was my problem. Thomas lost his license, needed to get around, suddenly I was his personal chauffeur fund. They never phrased it like a request. It was always assumed like it came with the job of being the responsible one. There was that time Mom sent me a text like it was nothing. Hey sweetie, put your name down as co-signer for Thomas's loan. Just paperwork. Don't worry. No heads up. No asking. Then when Dad broke his foot, the mortgage landed in my lap for 3 straight months. You wouldn't want us to lose the house, right? As if saying no would mean I didn't care. They knew how to frame it to make me feel like I had no choice. Then came what I call the group chat incident. 6 months back, William thought it'd be hilarious to screenshot my dating profile and post it in the family group chat. Caption read, "Our family ATM looking for love." 23 people reacted with laughing emojis. Even Aunt Lisa threw in her 2 cents, something about how I was a sweet boy and she hoped someone would see the heart behind all that desperation. Not a single person stood up for me. Not even Mom. When I brought it up later, she waved it off. They're just teasing. It's tough love. That's how families show they care. Apparently, mockery now counted as affection. Meanwhile, my bank balance was quietly bleeding out. At first, I chalked it up to life being expensive, groceries, bills, one too many takeout orders. But then the numbers stopped making sense. I spotted a Venmo payment labeled wedding deposit. That'd be sweet if I were engaged. Then there was a $900 Apple Pay charge I had no memory of. Turns out Thomas was still connected to one of my old devices. I never logged him out, never thought I needed to. When I asked him about it, he just smirked and said, "You're acting like you're broke or something. Don't you make 6 figures? What's a little cash to you?" And Dad? He'd started calling more regularly, but never just to chat. Every call came with a hidden tab. He'd start with, "Got a minute?" What he really meant was, "Can I offload this financial mess onto you?" He said he messed up his taxes, some paperwork mix-up. I covered it. Then it was a broken heater, or maybe a leaky roof, whatever it was, I paid that too. The kicker? I later found out he'd been bragging at a family party that he was the one who paid my way through college. That one hit me hard. Not because it wasn't true, but because of how easily he rewrote the story. But the real moment, the one that snapped whatever thread was still holding my patience together, came a week before that dinner. I checked my savings account like I usually do, expecting to see the same steady cushion. Instead, I was staring at a $12,300 hole. Just gone. My first instinct was fraud. I called the bank in a panic. They looked into it and came back with, "The transfer came from your IP address." Except I hadn't made it. And then it hit me. William had borrowed my laptop a couple of weeks back. Claimed his was acting weird and needed to check something. I handed it over without thinking. Didn't even consider he might have installed remote access software while I was in the other room. That was when I realized I wasn't family to them. I was a resource. A walking, breathing ATM with a friendly smile. One part. When I finally confronted William, he didn't even blink. "Man, why you acting like the feds?" "It's just money," he said with a shrug, like he'd borrowed a hoodie, not wiped out my savings. I asked him flat out, "Who's we?" He grinned. "The family." That moment at dinner when he raised a glass to my financial ruin like it was a joke of the night, that's when something clicked. They weren't leeches. Leeches don't laugh while they feed. These people were builders. They constructed a whole system, a slick, well-oiled operation where my role was simple: be the fuel, be the wallet, be quiet. And I'd let it happen. Because I kept convincing myself that maybe, just maybe, if I gave enough, paid enough, forgave enough, they'd finally see me. Not as a source, but as a person. Someone who mattered. Someone they respected. But all I ever got was a seat at the kids' table and the punchline. When I walked out of that restaurant, I didn't go home. I went straight to my office. Flipped on the desk lamp, opened my locked drawer, and pulled out the files. Because I hadn't just been paying their bills, I'd been documenting everything. Screenshots. Bank alerts. Voicemails. Even voice memos where they got a little too comfortable talking about their plans. There was one where William said, plain as day, "If he finds out we took the money, just say it was a gift for Dad. He won't push." Or the group chat where Thomas bragged about how easy it was to mess with me, even joked about gaslighting me for sport. But that wasn't even the worst of it. Remember that so-called investment opportunity Dad talked me into 2 years ago? A vineyard project out in Temecula, supposedly a family-owned passion project? I pulled the business records last month because something about it never sat right. Turns out they'd taken out a business loan using my identity. They forged the paperwork. They never paid it back. And I didn't even know because they rerouted all the mail to a P.O. box William opened under a family trust. So no, that dinner wasn't the explosion. It was the last spark before the fire. And that doorbell? That wasn't panic coming to find me. That was the first step in their reckoning. Because I wasn't going to shout. I wasn't going to throw things. I was going to dismantle every lie, every fake contract, every quiet theft, piece by piece. The person standing on the other side of the door wasn't who they were expecting. It was Nancy, my financial advisor and the one person who helped me track every unauthorized withdrawal, every backdoor login, every dime they stole. She stepped inside without saying a word, holding a manila folder in one hand and her phone in the other. Behind me, the dinner table looked like a still photo, William frozen mid-sip, Thomas glued to his phone, Dad chewing like nothing was wrong. Only Mom reacted. "Who is this?" she asked, voice clipped. I pulled out the head chair and sat down like it was a boardroom meeting. "This," I said calmly, "is the person who helped me figure out where all my money went." William rolled his eyes. "Oh, come on. Don't be so dramatic. Helping family isn't a crime." Nancy opened the folder and started laying out the evidence. One sheet at a time, I slid them across the table like cards in a poker game that only I knew we were playing. A signed loan application under my name. A wire transfer from my business account straight into William's crypto wallet. A screenshot of Thomas logging into my bank through a spoofed IP. A transcript of the group chat complete with timestamps. An audio file titled simply, "Dad's Plan." I tapped play on my phone. Dad's voice filled the room. "Look, if he finds out, just say it was for him. Father's Day, retirement, whatever. He won't sue us." He's soft. No one spoke. Then Nancy added, without missing a beat. "That recording came from a synced cloud backup. You didn't realize Dropbox still had it." Dad slammed his glass down hard. "You're recording us now?" I looked him dead in the eye. "No. You recorded that. You just didn't think to delete it." William jumped to his feet. "This is crazy. You're treating us like criminals." "It's not crazy," Nancy said quietly and handed me a small flash drive. "Show them." I plugged it into my laptop. What came up wasn't sound, it was a forged contract. A fake repayment agreement between me and Thomas, supposedly authorizing some loan. The file was named family_dad_repayment_agreement.pdf. It had my digital signature. Only thing is, I never signed it. Nancy zoomed in on the metadata. "Created by William Lockwood." I turned the screen toward him. "This look familiar?" William opened his mouth, then shut it again. Thomas muttered something under his breath. "What was that?" I asked. "I said I didn't know he was going to file it," Thomas said louder. "It was just for emergencies." "And the 12 grand you pulled from my account last week?" I asked. "That an emergency too?" Silence. Then Mom stood up, her voice shaking. "You're going to tear this family apart over money?" I laughed. Sharp. Cracked. Almost like I was choking on it. "No, Mom. You did. When you all decided that love came with a price tag and a routing number." I reached into my bag and pulled out one last envelope. Inside, copies of every payment I'd made in their names over the past 3 years. Car notes, credit cards, rent, streaming services, line after line after line. I read the total out loud, 86,000. And change. William turned ghost white. Thomas stood up, mumbled something about needing air, and disappeared down the hall. Dad just stared at his food like he suddenly didn't recognize it. Mom whispered, "We didn't know it was that much." That's when the doorbell rang again. Every head snapped toward it. I smiled. "I think that one's for you." Dad got up slowly and opened the door. In walked Daniel, my cousin's ex. The one they all used to mock behind his back. Called him a drunk, a mess, a burnout. Only now he was standing tall, tablet in hand, and nodded at me like we were partners. "You ready?" he asked. I nodded once. He placed the tablet on the table and tapped the screen. What started playing wasn't audio. It was a video call recording. The video on the tablet started playing. William, clear as day, talking to Daniel on a call from 3 weeks earlier. "Listen," William said, smirking, "we're gonna empty his account, call it a Father's Day surprise. He won't even notice." Daniel's voice came through, cautious. "And if he does?" William laughed. "Then we spin it. Make him question himself. You know how to play shocked. You're good at innocent." Daniel hit pause. The room was silent except for the quiet hum of shame trying to hide itself. I kept that recording, he said, in case anyone forgot who did the betraying. William made a sudden grab for the tablet, but Nancy stepped in fast. She yanked it back and said, calm but cold, touch it again and I'll press charges. Dad turned to me, his face a furious shade of red, jaw clenched so tight I thought he might snap a molar. You think all this makes you better than us? He said. You humiliated your family. That's not what family does. I stood slow and steady, looked him dead in the eye. No, I said. What I did was finally tell the truth. Then I turned to the rest of them, still seated, still stunned. This is your notice. Every payment I've made on your behalf canceled. Every transfer, every auto draft, every cosign, done. I let it settle. Then added. Your Netflix? Canceled. Spotify? Gone. William's rent, no more. Thomas's car insurance? You'll need a new policy. Mom's grocery card? Swiped for the last time. The silence was thick now, like wet concrete. And tomorrow, I continued, the IRS will receive a full report on the fraudulent loan taken out in my name. Let me know how that audit goes, Dad. He lunged like he meant to swing at me, and for a second I thought he might. But Daniel stepped in, one hand out. Sit down, he said. Quiet. Unshakable. The air shifted then like a storm had passed through and left everything just a little colder. I gathered the papers, pocketed the flash drive, and turned toward the door. Behind me, William called out. You're just walking out? After all this? I paused, looked back over my shoulder. Yeah. Quietly. Which is more respect than any of you gave me. And then I left. No slamming doors. No shouting matches. Just a man stepping out into the night, finally cutting loose from the chains tied to his last name. The next morning I logged in and hit publish. Not a video. No dramatic captions. No emotional selfie. Just a simple post. Title, What Family First Really Meant in My House. Attached were the files, screenshots of the group chat, the forged loan documents, the voice recording of Dad, the fake contract between me and Thomas, bank records showing $86,000 gone, and the video of William laughing about how easy it was to gaslight me. I didn't tag anyone. I didn't need to. 3 hours in, it had 12,000 shares. By lunchtime, it hit the local subreddit. By evening, it was front page on r/entitled people. Then TikTok got hold of it. Some user clipped William's smug line, you always say family comes first. So we came first. And edited it over a slow zoom of my bank statements. It exploded, 3.2 million views in a day. I didn't read all the comments, but I got the gist. Imagine mocking the guy paying your bills. That smile at dinner? That's a generational curse snapping in half. Ro handled this like a boss. Quiet revenge tastes better. Guess who's the loser now, William? That night, Thomas texted me 19 times. First, we need to talk. Then, you're ruining us. Please delete the post. And finally, you think this is funny? You're burning down your own family. I didn't respond. Just left him on read. Around 8 p.m. a message landed in my DMs from someone I didn't know. A local reporter. She said the post had gone viral. People were asking if it was real. She asked if I wanted to make a statement. I sent back one line. Everything I posted has a paper trail. And you've only seen half of it. That night, her article went live. Headline, Family First Until the Money Runs Out, A Quiet Son, an $86,000 betrayal, and the fallout heard round the internet. And it blew up. Hard. Then came the fallout. Mom posted some long-winded Facebook status the next morning. We may not be perfect, but we are still family. The internet shouldn't be a weapon. Forgiveness matters. The comments didn't go the way she hoped. Did y'all forgive yourselves when you emptied his savings? Forgiveness isn't a coupon code, lady. You raised a snake pit and now you're surprised it got filmed. Then William tried to post a rebuttal. Claimed the whole thing was miscommunication, just a support system gone wrong. Didn't take long for someone to dig up a Reddit comment from 6 months ago where he bragged about milking his cousin's guilt complex. He deleted his profile that same night. As for Dad, he stayed quiet. But I got a cease and desist letter in the mail. Comic Sans. I'm not kidding. Accused me of slandering the family legacy. I mailed back a single-page reply. Truth isn't slander. You lost your legacy the day you weaponized my love. Then came the twist I hadn't even expected. The bank called. Nancy had flagged so many shady transactions they launched a full investigation. William's forged contract? Thomas's IP spoofing? That vineyard loan Dad roped me into? Frozen. Under review. They locked down 3 family accounts pending verification. Next came the IRS. The loan in my name? Flagged for fraud. That veteran-owned vineyard business? Turns out there were inconsistencies in Dad's paperwork. Guess who turned over the real DD-214? Grandpa. I hadn't even told him what happened yet. He called me later that week. Said one thing. Told you. Mud on their knees. Meanwhile, I did something I hadn't done in years. I moved into a new apartment. Clean, quiet. No emotional landmines. No surprise bills. I started a YouTube channel. Not about revenge, about freedom. Financial literacy. Boundaries. Repair. First video, what to do when your family weaponizes guilt. It hit 300K views in 3 days. People started reaching out, strangers, messaging just to say thanks. That I gave them courage. To cut ties. To stop bleeding for people who only ever brought knives. Then came an email from a nonprofit that supports adult children of toxic families. They asked if I'd speak at their fall conference. I said yes. And then, just when I thought it was finally quiet, Thomas showed up. Outside my building. Hoodie pulled up, cheap gas station flowers in one hand, eyes red-rimmed and tired. He said, I just want to talk. I opened the door just enough to say what needed saying. I spent years making your life easier. And you spent every one of those years making mine harder. I'm not here to help you feel better about it now. Then I closed it. The final nail? I made it stick. Every login changed. Every shared account locked down or deleted. I shut down the joint bank account Mom always called her emergency stash. Canceled every leftover subscription, Prime, Spotify, gym memberships, Costco. Wiped clean. Gone. And then, one last post. No long explanation. No dramatic speech. Just a photo of my keychain. A new tag hanging from it. Account closed. Caption read. Turns out family first just meant I was first in line to be used. And you know what surprised me? I wasn't even angry anymore. Not after the comment sections. Not after the video edits that made William internet famous for all the wrong reasons. Not after the bank froze 3 of their accounts or after I got that cease and desist letter dressed up like it came from a church newsletter. I wasn't mad. I was finished. Done pretending I belonged to people who only remembered my number when something was overdue. Done paying to keep the peace. Done letting "you're just too sensitive" pass as a free pass for emotional mugging. The last text I ever got from Mom was short. One line. You've made your point. Can we please move forward? I didn't answer. But I did move forward. Just not with her. I changed my number. New SIM, new carrier, no forwarding address. Only 5 people have it and none of them are blood relatives. Then I went all in on my YouTube channel. Turned it into a brand, Debtless by Design. The first hoodie drop sold out in 2 days. I even replaced the old family Spotify account with my own. First playlist? Songs to cut toxic ties to. Cover image? A screenshot of Thomas's last message, we need to talk. But honestly, my favorite part came later. I took a small chunk of the money I managed to recover, not much, but enough, and teamed up with a local nonprofit focused on mental health and recovery for people from toxic families. Together, we opened a little co-working cafe. A place for survivors. For the quiet kids who got loud. For the adults who finally stopped saying yes out of guilt. It's peaceful. It's bright. It's ours. The name above the door? First place. And just below that, in smaller letters. Because I always came last. Not anymore. We held a ribbon-cutting event. Posted the photos. It went viral again. Someone tagged William. He didn't comment. Thomas posted some cryptic story that said, some people forget who fed them. I nearly laughed. You didn't feed me. I paid for dinner. I paid for dessert. I even tipped the waiter and got spit in return. But now? Now I eat in peace. I live without sirens going off in my chest. I sleep without checking my phone at 2 a.m. expecting another quick $400 text or a guilt trip wrapped in nostalgia. Let me be clear one more time. I'm not cruel for choosing peace. I'm not heartless for walking away. And I'm definitely not your redemption arc. This isn't a story about revenge. It's about boundaries. And this isn't the part where I forgive you and we all hug. This is the part where I thrive without you. This is the part where I say, you lost access to me. Not because I'm bitter. Not because I want to hurt you. But because I finally learned what I'm worth.